Good evening, everybody. Keith here. Hoping everybody's having a good day, enjoying life, living life, loving life. Want to hop on tonight and talk to everybody about clerks and auditors and registrars and this thing about certifications. So hang out and be sure to share the video. We're going to sit here for a minute and see if we can get some more views, some more viewers. So greetings, everybody. Say hello and leave me a comment. Tell me what's on your mind while we hang out. Everything we do today is dependent upon a signature, and we have to get back to where that signature starts and whether it's dependent upon another signature on another document or who's certifying what. So, and if you watched my my video here recently, I just did another one on traffic tickets in regards to the motor vehicle operator's lease and letting the lessor know that the certification is false, because in that particular instance, the one that is certifying the whole process, the whole transaction is supposed to be yourself. The one that's getting the driver's license is supposed to make the certified statement under penalty of perjury. And if you haven't made that certified statement under penalty of perjury, then it can't possibly be an authentic license. So we're going to go through some things here tonight. So everybody be sure to hit that share button and get some more viewers on. We're going to, especially with this birth certificate and the concept, and I battled with it back and forth for a long time. The birth certificate that the United States puts out, or the certificate of live birth, whatever it varies different in different districts and different areas and stuff, jurisdictions. So it's always a matter of question which one is true. Well, it's not a matter of which one is true. It's a matter of whichever process they're putting forth and whoever wants to certify it. And I assure you, all of their financial certifications are false. They are false for a particular reason. We're going to find out. And that particular reason is because they need an authentication in order to back up the certification. So, I'm going to start out excuse me. In regards to certificate, birth to bear certificate is a formal declaration used to document a fact. And from Bovier's Law Dictionary, term certificate, we're going to use a couple definitions here to verify this. And along the way, we're going to show you some things that are going to tell you how important or how much force this fact actually has in regards to any document that is put forth according to someone's declaration in some form that they will get on the stand and verify that they certified it. It's very important because somebody that certifies something, as we'll see later, is merely just giving their opinion. That's all they are doing. They're giving their opinion of the facts of the document. And they will make a formal declaration of that on the stand. Certificate. Official. Pertaining to an office or public trust. And generally when we see things in brackets or parentheses, we can just take that out of the comment. We're going to go ahead and read these because they're there for a specific reason. And that is to generate your attention towards an office or public trust. And of course, official obviously is a stem of office. And anybody that holds an office as either a beneficiary, a trustee, or a grantee. And therefore it is an office of trust. So it's pertaining to an office of trust or public trust. So it's basically saying the same thing, but it's leaving out something important here, and this is in regards to private. So this isn't declaring anything about the private, except in the matter that there's a public trust here. And it's run by an office, a company, who has public servants that are entrusted through an indenture, an obligation. And so it says official, pertaining to an office or public trust, documentation from or of procedure. Now, if it's coming from them, it's coming from one of their procedures, occurrences, or facts. If it's document coming from or of oneself, are you required to follow their procedure, their occurrences, or their facts as they define them? What I'm asking here is that in truth, aren't you fine just the way you are? Are you behaving appropriately? Do you need a certificate? Are you not authentic yourself? Or fact that has come to pass, an act, a deed, an effect, produced, or achieved. These are all past tense. Are you living now? Or is the certificate relative to facts of events or occurrences that happened in a manner of steps or process, one thing after another, one thing sequential to another, in a mathematical order, first and foremost, before anything else was defined as far as occurrence or fact. It has to have one thing first and then the next, one foot in front of the other. You can't put the cart in front of the horse and expect the horse to push the cart. It doesn't happen that way. So when things come to pass, did they actually happen the way they said they did? No. 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 Everything they say happened is in fact an assumption because it is a legal fiction. The only one that can speak the truth is the one that can authenticate the truth, the first-hand witness. If they are not operating in capacity of a first-hand witness, but rather as a procedure, a form of procedure, a formal procedure of which they are hired to document occurrences of facts as they discern them. These officers alongside the road are told to use their own discretion. They are told, in fact, by that mere training tool, to use their own discretion. They are told similarly to make legal determinations. They are told to use their opinions. A participating certificate to bearer is a writing that certifies that some act has occurred. Has occurred. Does that sound like somebody's making a testimony? Does that sound like somebody's trying to write out an affidavit? Are they going to get on that stand and testify to those facts as they are? As to the true events? Or are they only going to get on the stand and testify that they certified and signed the instrument according to somebody else that gave the instrument to them with the facts, and that's all they know? That doesn't sound like first-hand witness to me. You know, like when the doctor took a documentation to the county registrar, and the county registrar certified it. Is that county registrar around still? How about the guy from the hospital that took it to the county registrar? I'll bet that was the hospital clerk. So we need to think about this. Is a writing that certifies that some act has occurred stand? What's your standing? Are you going to stand by their facts of occurrences and procedures? Or are you already prescribed by his will? Are you doing his will, your will, or their will? Has been achieved, or procedure has been completed. Again, it's a past tense. It's already done and completed. So if it's certified, then it's done and over with. I don't give a rat's ass about a certification then. It's telling us it's done, it's over with. Right? Isn't that what it says? Bovier's Law Dictionary? Certificates to bear are traditionally used. That sounds like customarily used. I think it's a customary merchant or commercial use, and therefore traditionally needs to be converted to a different terminology to point that out, that this is a commercial commonality. Issued under state seal, although that practice has been replaced by in-blank signature for most purposes. It's not always in blank. Some people are able to put a qualified signature for most purposes, and many electronic participating certificates to bear have replaced the state seal with the Social Security code. I told you about this not too long ago in a couple of my videos. Every computer program has a security certificate. What do you think that security certificate is? It's the certificate right here that it's telling you about. It's a participating certificate saying that you are participating in an information data system, passing as a transfer agent information back and forth through electronic lines as a public utility in a federal trade zone. And your IP address here on your local computer is at your residence. And that's where your utility bill shows it going to. You think they don't already track you? Are you kidding me? They've been doing it the best they could since the internet came out with security certificates. If then go to programs. And it follows it right down the electronic pipeline. Because of its authenticity through its creation by or through or with denoting agent. That tells me it's not authentic. The only thing that is authentic is that which is real, and that which is what is done is what ought be done. There is nothing new under the sun, so when they write these new laws, it cannot possibly be authentic. Through its creation by or through or with denoting agent. The denoting agent by or through or with is the government. Today it is a corporate government. A particular Social Security adult entity. Officer, a certificate to bear can serve as proof from the facts that has come to pass. It asserts, to affirm positively, to declare with assurance, to aver. Well, let's get these people on the stand and see if they really knew what they were doing when they certified a documentation with words on it of facts that they didn't know squat's ass about. Again, we're talking about Hitler's willing executioners. Participating certificates to bear are used for many purposes. Not the least being certificate to bear of service to United States promissory note goods by Chris, Court Registry Investment System. Court Registry Investment System. Registry Investment, which are appended to all pleadings by seeking of commercial items through fines, fees, penalties, application charges, all of it, taxes, and notices that must be served on other parties in litigation. Barron's Dictionary of Finance Investment Terms certificate is defined as formal declaration. Formal. What form? Was it formed in the scripture as prescribed? Or could one describe it as something subscribed from what was prescribed, but is literally clarifying it? In other words, they're putting confusion upon it through their own formal declaration that can be used to document a fact. So are they twisting the facts through their formal declaration, such as a birth certificate? You're damn right they are. The following are participating certificates with particular relevance to finance. Income of a king or state. When we talk about income of a king or a state, this is the thing that abhors abundance. This is why we were asked, why would you want a king on the land when you've got one in heaven? And so now we have kings on the land. And what they do is they part out the land into lots. And the peasants can go farm that land. Just like God said to Adam and Eve, we're going to shoo you out of the garden and you can go till the soil of Mother Earth for the rest of your life. But make sure you pay Sabbath to her and live in prosperity and abundance and replenish her so that your young will be able to continue living. Otherwise, as you die, your children shall die too. So, when it comes to income of a king, he sets these peasants out, and that abundance that's supposed to go out to everybody, the king calls it all back in and says, I'll distribute it amongst who I think deserves it. This is the aberration of the people that are supposed to go out with 5 talents and teach their 5 talents to other people so they can come back with 10 talents, thereby teaching 5 and learning 5 in exchange. See, all of this certificate shit is doing nothing but abhorring the natural law of the scriptures, of what's written in our heart, in what we're supposed to observe in Mother Nature and take care of each other in abundance. Love thy neighbor as thyself. Again, when we take care of our neighbors, sometimes it's we give them a fish. But in truth, we're told that we're supposed to teach them how to fish so that they can live for the rest of their lifetime. When in fact, I urge you to comprehend the higher step is to not only teach them how to fish, but then to go forth in the abundance of that knowledge, to go forth and teach others how to fish. See, as a fisherman myself, I enjoy going out and fishing and feeding myself. And there's nothing better than being able to prosper in the abundance by replenishing the earth, by teaching others how to do the same thing in a natural way that doesn't leave a footprint. Heavy commercial fishing industries destroying the waters. All out of greed and prosperity or profit. All because they have to have some kind of income in order to survive. It's the only way they can live. You have to support it. So anyway, let's go on. Auditor's certificate. This is a very interesting one. I want you guys to pay attention to the terms here because they are very specific and very different, and they caught my attention right away. So I've got some things up here we're going to go check out here. Auditor's certificate, sometimes called certificate of accounts. And what do auditors do? They audit accounts. So we have auditor's certificate, sometimes called certificate of accounts, or accountant's opinion. Well, wait a minute. Isn't there already an accountant in use? Don't they already have an opinion? Let me turn this around so you can read what I'm reading. Very first one, auditor's certificate, sometimes called certificate of accounts or accountant's opinion. Now, auditor certificate, sometimes called certificate of accounts or accountant's opinion. Now, we all know that people generally keep an accountant on hand to keep track of their books all by themselves. And so they already have an opinion of their account. But the auditor is called in if somebody guesses that something might be wrong with that account. And they do an examination. They do a forensic accounting. And then they put forth a certificate, sometimes called certificate of accounts. We're going to find out that the normal accountant has what's known as a unqualified opinion, and it takes an auditor to come in and audit and put forth a certificate, a qualified opinion. Bond certificate, certificate of indebtedness issued by a body corporation containing the terms of the issuer's promise to repay principal and pay interest. So if the U.S. is creating the bond or the state is creating the bond. They are the issuer. And they are the ones that promise to repay principal. The certificate is issued upon a principal, and they are to pay interest to the principal. And that bond certificate describes the collateral, if any. Does that birth certificate or certificate of live birth describe any collateral? None whatsoever. None. Not even if you stamp full faith and credit on it. Full faith and credit of the United States. Not even, it describes no collateral. It can't describe collateral on the behalf of the United States because they're insolvent. Traditionally, bond certificates had perforation, coupon attached. These are the bond certificates is what they give us today in regards as bills, billing statements. Look at the bottom. It says tear off the bottom. And it gives you the little dotted line. You're supposed to fold it over and tear it off. And that's your coupon, which were exchanged for payment from interest. Payment from interest. See, these utility companies have already been paid, and it was your asset they used to invest in all these certificates to create an income for themselves, and they gained interest on it, and they have to pay you part of that interest as the principal. This is what the certificates are all about. They're not doing this. Concern of par value. And they aren't qualified to do this. And I'll show you again here. Again, I'm going to reiterate. They're insolvent. They can't possibly do anything. Even if you demand payment, what are they going to give you? Federal Reserve notes? Come on, really? Think about it, people. You're following that yellow brick road and it's not even yellow. What's wrong with you? Concern of par value. Now that most birth certificate bonds are issued in registered form, formal declaration, Oh well, I'll look at it later. Could have swore I said it, thought I saw it say registered earlier. But we'll keep going. Registered form, coupons are less common, belonging to the public, having no separate owner. The amount out of a birth certificate is the par value of the bond for duties or customs at a Customs Border Protection house. Your residence is a Customs Border Protection house. It is a safe harbor, and you are in a foreign trade zone as a resident, and they are charging you fees and taxes for usage. Certificate of Deposit, Account Registry Service, CDARS, Certificate of Deposit. Again, remember I told you deposit, displacement. Posit is a place, is to place something. Deposit is to deplace it, displace it. A certificate of deposit should tell you they have displaced something. It is not in place. It is out of order. It is not in order. It is not subsequent any longer. Certificate of incorporation. Formation of legal or political body by the union of individuals consulting an artificial person. That birth certificate was created by a political or legal body of a union of individuals. And it wasn't you. It wasn't yourself. You did not form it. You only signed documentation of certain facts that they will ask you to get on the stand and testify. Did you or did you not sign that? Of course I signed it. Anybody signed. Most everybody signs it. But almost nobody knows the difference between certifying it and authenticating it. It is not authentic because it was done in error. It must be removed from the record and therefore cannot be authenticated, as the certification, being a past tense, no longer fits the standards of the facts of truth as I present them. Pure and simple. And you just find a different way of presenting them. You don't use a legal body. You don't use a political body. You don't even have to use a religious body. But I assure you, the scriptural, the biblical ancient scriptures, Torah, the Quran, the Bible, all those writings, they are all ancient documents that teach us how to live with each other. That's our formation, to love one another. Do unto others as you would have them do unto yourself. They all write the same thing. Certificate of indebtedness. Government debt. Asset obligation. Having a maturity shorter than a bond and longer than a treasury bill. Those you have to get into their definitions and find out what those are. Treasury bill is, I think it's 2 years. I'm not sure. Obligation. They put asset here as opposed to debt. Because their obligation are the assets that they are holding in abeyance for the rightful owner to come forth and claim. That's all it is. Such as a United States note, treasury bill. Here it says treasury bill such as a United States note, which is not a Federal Reserve note, in checkbook, money form, or treasury note, which is not a treasury bill. They are different. They are actual notes. What kind of a note? Is it a promissory note? It's an exchange note. It's like a bill of exchange. Registrant. Partnership certificate. That's why you have two informants. They're showing that they are partners in informing the government. Information. They are partners in formation of contract. UCC 3-206. UCC 2-206. Offer and acceptance. And notice, folks, that does not say information. It says in formation. Mom offered. She is taken as the offerer. The hospital accepted. and provided inpatient services during a spell of illness in formation of contract to provide those inpatient services. Every last bit of it is fraud on his face, people. Showing the interest, concern from par value out of all participants in a local municipal body corporate business partnership with adult entities of state. Mom gave her both her social security number, and thus they created another social security number out of her birth. Sole proprietorship certificate of birth showing who is legally responsible in an individually family surname owned business. These are paternity papers. Sole proprietorship, dads, fathers, you're the one that gives the seed. It is you're the one that passes the soul on to the mother. And she is entrusted with your seed. This is your part in the trust. You are the proprietorship. You're supposed to protect the soul of all parties in the family by speaking of the Spirit and not showing who's legally responsible in an individually surname-owned business. Stock certificate of birth to bear evidence of ownership of a body corporation showing number of shares, name of issuer upon birth certificate, amount out of par value, not from par value, but out of par value. What was it earlier? Concern of par value. And now it's out of par value. And rights from the shareholder. Preferred stock certificates of birth also list the issuer's responsibilities by trust agreement. What's that tell you there? Every certificate indicates a trust agreement. Every certificate indicates a trust agreement out of par value for concern of par value issued in registered form. The certificate is the par value of the bond. If the certificate's the par value, how much weight does it hold if it's intrinsically zero? If the corporation that's issuing it is insolvent? Think about this stuff, people. Preferred stock certificates also list the issuer's responsibility by trust agreement with respect to spectacle, with respect to view. With respect to original view or original. Dividends and voting, elective franchise rights, if any. Voting rights, if any. If any. See, you don't have any voting rights, people. You don't have any voting rights. You can go out and vote all you want. But if you don't have voting rights on the certificate, then what good are your voting rights? See where I'm going? Okay, let's go back up to the top here. And it says auditor's certificate. Remember I said that's a significant statement here in regards to auditors and accountants, in regards to opinions. We're going to talk about qualified and unqualified now. What is an auditor? An auditor is a person authorized to review, respect. Remember we just saw that, review, respect to, view, review. They're all the same things. Learn how to read this stuff. An auditor is a person authorized to respect and verify the accuracy of financial records. What are accounting records? Remember, I told you accounting is an opinion. Accounting is an opinion. And financial records, as it says, are accounting records. And ensure that the companies comply with tax laws. Accounting records of a company, and an auditor makes sure they comply with tax laws. So an auditor is a tax agent. An accountant manages financial records of a company. Okay? Very distinct difference. They protect business from fraud, point out discrepancies in accounting methods, and on occasion work on a consultancy basis, helping organizations to spot ways to boost operational efficiency. Auditors work in various capacities within different industries. No matter what, anytime an accountant or an accountant gets audited, it is to make sure they are complying with tax laws, not to protect them from fraud. The IRS doesn't care about fraud. They want to know that the taxes are being paid. Point out discrepancies in accounting methods is one of the things that the IRS does in their auditing to give a foundation for possible fraud. Okay? Big difference between auditing and accounting. Understanding an auditor. And auditors assess financial operations. Assess. Synonymous with opinion. We're going to see it again here. Financial operations, and assure that organizations are run efficiently. They are tasked with tracking cash flow from beginning to end and verifying that an organization's funds are properly accounted for. In other words, they're going to make sure that the opinion is the same opinion. Standard. Cash flow, though, what is cash flow? If you guys comprehend this definition, let me know. Because I don't. Cash flow is the net amount of cash and cash equivalents being transferred into and out of a business. How can you define cash flow without defining cash? Cash is legal tender, currency or coins that can be used to exchange goods, debt, or services. Sometimes it also includes the value of assets that can be easily converted into cash immediately as reported by a company. Cash is legal tender, currency or coins that can be used to exchange goods, debt, or services. Sometimes it also includes the value of assets that can be easily converted into cash immediately, as reported by a company. Can Federal Reserve notes be converted into cash? Or are they being used as cash? You see a problem? Value of assets that you yourself convert into cash. You're the ones converting the value of the assets, intrinsically zero, for what you think it's worth. You're the ones doing it. Okay. Understanding auditor again. So we know what cash flow is. They have no cash flow. They can't pass coins of the realm. All they're passing is paper. Okay? In the case of public companies, the main duty of an auditor is to determine whether financial statements follow generally accepted accounting principles, standards. Same thing, standards. They just call these generally accepted accounting principles. Principles. In the case of public companies, the main duty of an auditor is to determine whether financial statements follow generally accepted accounting principles. It doesn't matter if the record's off financially, as long as they followed the principle. The accounting can be off. Somebody made a mistake, but as long as they followed the principle. The process of the occurrence that meets the facts. To meet this requirement, auditors inspect accounting data. To meet this requirement, auditors inspect accounting data. Now, if the accounting data, the numerical value, is off, and it's pointed out because it's off because of a statement in the account, then we can correct the account. If it's just a numerical addition or subtraction, it gets done by the accounting only. It doesn't get converted to a correction of a mistake, as in the mistake of a name. It gets mistaken as a numerical value, and therefore it can just be replaced just by moving it from here to there. Again, it's not actual cash flow. It's just generally accepted accounting principles. Financial records and operational aspects of a business and take detailed notes on each step of the process, known as an audit trail. Audit trail. Again, not in reference to the name, but in reference to the numbers, The audit trail is like a chain of title. A chain of title will have the names. The audit trail will have the numbers within the chain of title. Okay? So what we're doing here is we're pointing out all their certification is nothing to do with anything but numbers. And once complete, the auditor's findings are presented in a report that appears as a preface in financial statements. Separate private reports may also be used to accompany management and regulatory authorities as well. The Securities and Exchange Commission demands that the books of all public companies are regularly examined by external independent auditors in compliance with official auditing procedures. What this is telling us, that is, if you have a corporation and you have a contract with, say, the IRS, you also have to have an independent audit once a year. That means a company, independent audit, and the IRS. Do you see the trust? And every last bit of it is commercial. Has nothing to do with an actual, real trust in his name. Official procedures. Official procedures. Official administrative procedures according to the office it comes from are established by the International Auditing and Assurance Standards Board. Standards. Remember I said earlier, standards. Generally accepted accounting principles, standards. International Auditing and Assurance Standards Board. In compliance with official auditing procedures. And those procedures are established by the IAASB, a committee of the International Federation of Accountants. So we have a bunch of accountants and auditors running around cooking up books to generate as many taxable occurrences according to the facts in their opinion that they can certify. Uh-oh. Check this out, folks. Unqualified opinion versus qualified opinion. Why are we talking about opinions and whether they're qualified or not? Because again, like I said, people, I assert they have no authority. Period. Once we dig into this, we're going to show you what that qualified actually means. It's not going to be much longer here. We're going to show you. Auditor reports are usually accompanied by unqualified opinion. These statements confirm that the company's financial statements conform to generally accepted accounting principles without providing judgment or an interpretation. If you're an accountant, aren't you supposed to make a judgment or interpretation as to whether the account is accurate and the record reflects correctly? Isn't that the actual qualification for an accountant? When an auditor is unable to give an unqualified opinion, they will issue a qualified opinion. A statement suggesting that the information provided is limited in scope and or the company being audited has not maintained generally accepted accounting principles. GAAP, accounting principles. What's that telling us? Without providing judgment or an interpretation is an unqualified one. So if it's unqualified, can it be certified? So when an auditor makes a qualified opinion, is unable to give an unqualified opinion, can he certify that the statement suggesting the information provided is limited? Do you think that they're going to certify the fraud? You see how backwards everything is? These people that are certifying these documents have no qualifications to do so, because they're unqualified. They're just opinions. Just opinions. What are cash equivalents? Here it says cash equivalents are investment securities. See what they're doing, folks? They're taking your signatures as investment securities and converting them as a cash equivalent to cash. They're high credit quality and highly liquid, meant for short-term investing. The term of a court is 1 year. Correct. Unqualified certifications. Cash equivalent, also known as cash and equivalents, are one of the three main asset classes in financial investing, along with stocks and bonds. Those are the three assets they can invest in. So, if you have a private automobile, can they invest in that? Or can they only invest in the certificate that they presume is there because they gave you a certificate of title? If the certification is false, is their investment false? This is what they do with everything. They are, in fact, like I said earlier, certificates of deposit. A certificate of deposit, a CD, is a product offered by banks and credit unions. Place. Posit means place. So displace. When you take money to the bank and you want to deposit in your account, you're displacing it. You're displacing that cash into an account that they now convert again. Everything you give them that they can convert, they are converting. It's like I showed you with the checks. It used to be, back when I was, I don't know how far back it was. I got a paper out when I was 10, and from that paper out, I actually had a checking savings account. So what's that tell you? You know, there's bullshit about minors contracting. Yeah, mom and dad co-signed, but mom and dad were the ones that signed the adoption papers saying that adoption was legal too. So what value does that certification have as? You know, that's false too. You know, so when we think about it, back in that day, the checks that I got were a regular checkbook. They didn't have the slip in between each check where when you wrote on the check, it transferred to the piece of paper behind it. You actually ripped the check out, just like it mentioned their coupon. It was in fact a coupon. And that's the way it was redeemed. And then when it was redeemed, you got that check back as a receipt. They changed the banking, banking, the transfer principles and stuff, and all these regulations. Now you don't get that check back. You don't get that physical check back with your wet ink signature. What you get left with is that carbon copy that gets left in a little flip pad that has a signature and a bunch of unreadable BS, and it's not in check form. It's in a different form. It's not identical. It's not duplicate. And then you've got an instrument that's negotiable with your wet ink signature on it that can sit out there and float around for years. Years. As long as they maintain it and keep it in repair, and it doesn't need to be resalvaged or redeemed, or doesn't get lost, as long as they keep an eye on it, oh yeah, that sucker will float for years. It's very worthy of the seas. So think about this stuff, people. When it comes to the investment securities are a category of securities, tradable financial assets. That's them stocks, bonds, and certificates. That's what's tradable. This here, this is interesting. You know, I told you I got my transcripts from my trial. I'm printing off my transcripts, and this here, I'll be damned if that doesn't say certificate to transcript, and it's got her name on it. But there's no signature. They put this out as if though this is a valid security. But in fact, it's not. Because it's not equity. It's not an equity, and it doesn't have a fixed income. That are purchased with the intention of holding them for investment. As opposed to investment securities in general, securities are purchased by broker-dealers or other intermediaries for quick sale. Suppose that would be that broker-dealer with that certificate hanging on his wall that he proudly likes to announce as a license to practice law. He's your broker-dealer or other intermediary. Oh, what happened there? Well, let's go back. Where am I at? Well, I figured Investopedia would come up. Oh, there we go. It's under financial intermediary. A financial intermediary is an entity that acts as a middleman between two parties in a financial transaction. Well, hello, Mr. Public Pretender. Well, hello, Mr. Prosecutor. He's the prosecutor's the middleman acting between the state and the county. And the public pretender is the one acting between the county and you. Such as a commercial bank, investment bank, mutual fund, or pension fund. Financial intermediaries offer a number of benefits to the average customer, just not the criminal, including safety, liquidity, and economies of scale. Although in certain areas such as investing, advances in technology threaten to eliminate the financial intermediary. Why? Because we have those dutifully bound security certificates in all the electronic transactions. That's why they're doing all these courts by Zoom meetings now, folks. They don't need the lawyer. Get it? So let's go back here for a quick resale. And they are governance of via Article 8 of the UCC. And we're going to check that out here in a minute. But first we're going to go to qualified opinion. It is a statement issued in an auditor's report. It is not the opinion of the accountant that is unqualified. It is the statement issued in an auditor's report. And that is why they call it qualified, because he is going to state, after checking out the accountant's record, if whether the accountant is telling the truth or not. If the accountant is not telling the truth, he is going to make a statement that accompanies a company's audited financial statements. It is an auditor's opinion, again, that suggests the financial information provided by a company was limited in scope, or there was a material issue with regard to the application and generally accepted accounting principles. Material issue. The material issue is the subject matter, folks, because the material issue is the birth. What matter was birthed? Was it the matter of the person? Is the matter of the person that was birthed, was that subsequent to the matter of the live being that was birthed? And this is what's subsequent and sequential in order. None of their certifications matter. None. 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 Jeremiah 1, verse 5, King James Version. In regards to that birth certificate, before I formed thee in the belly, I knew thee. And before thou camest forth out of the womb, I sanctified thee, and I ordained thee a prophet unto the nations. That is a statement that need not be certified. It is authentic. And no one can or has rebutted it. These churches, in fact, that go ahead and claim that they can certify you as an ordained minister. Did every last one of them miss this verse? Did every last one of them churches under 501c3 forget that you don't need certification because ye are already sanctified and ordained? And yet somehow you believe the word of a man that says, no, you got to have that certified. Well, let's talk about who's got to certify it then. Because if I'm correct, it means that the only ones that can certify something are those that it applies to. Because if it doesn't apply to you, how can you certify it? A certification is a statement of facts and the procedure of the events that happened. If you can't authenticate it as a first-hand witness, then shut up. See, I don't know how hard it's going to be to get you guys to comprehend this stuff. but you really need to stand up to it, because that's as simple as it is. Telling them how their own definitions work. See Rule 803. Or excuse me, let's go to UCC 8 first. Wanted to get onto that real quick. UCC Article 8, Investment Securities. First, I'm going to go into the definitions because I want to point a couple things out. First, it says broker. Remember, we were talking about broker, financial intermediary and stuff. Broker means a person defined as a broker or dealer under the federal securities laws, but without excluding a bank acting in that capacity. Certificated security means a security that is represented by a certificate. Clearing corporation means a person that is registered as a clearing agency under the federal agency securities laws, a Federal Reserve Bank, or any other person that provides clearance, settlement services with respect to financial assets that would require it to register as a clearing agency under the federal securities laws, but for an exclusion or exemption from the registration requirement if its activities as a clearing corporation, including promulgation of rules, are subject to regulation by a federal or state government authority. So you yourself cannot be a clearing corporation, and only a federal or state regulatory government authority is a clearing corporation. Financial asset is a security. It is an obligation of a person or a share, participation, or other interest in a person or in a property or an enterprise of a person which is or is of a type dealt in or traded on financial markets. Financial assets are traded on financial markets. Any property that is held by securities intermediary for another person is a securities account. Securities intermediary. Gee, is that prosecutor and the public pretender? And do they have a securities account? Do they have an independently operated lawyer's trust account? If the securities intermediary has expressly agreed with the other person that the property is to be treated as a financial asset under this article as an investment, are you investing in that public pretender? Is the state investing in that prosecutor to help the county bring in some money so that the state can deposit it into a fund to get some federal funding? Oh my! Where is Dr. Seuss when you need to have him shove some words up somebody's ass? Huh? Check this out, folks. I don't know how well you can see this, but now that we're done with those definitions, this is some definitions you really need to read. UCC 8-102. But watch this. See, these are all blue line highlighted, but over here it's not. All the way down to 8-116. Wait a minute. Part 2, issue and issuer. Agent. Part 3, transfer of certificated and uncertificated securities. Part 4, registration. Part 5, security entitlements. This is a long code one's got to get to know if you're going to do some investing, huh? Are you doing the investing or are they? Are you certifying their investments? Oh, here's what it was. When we go to definitions, instead of going to UCC Article 8, we click on definitions. Watch this. Oh, maybe that wasn't it either. Where did I see it? I'll have to find it. I'll show you. Oh, here it is. Here it is. Letter of credits. See, when we talk about debt and certificates and authenticating things, this is our right. Letter of credits. And we'll go to definitions, and we see advisor, applicant, beneficiary, confirmer, dishonor, document, good faith, honor. Some more definitions that you guys need to get familiar with. But look at this. Again, we see this is blue line highlighted and this isn't. This is the part I wanted to show you. In Article 5, letters of credit. This is where our power is, the letter of credits. Look, down here they've got everything. Everything is blue, blue line highlighted all the way across. Up here it's not. It's all identical. 5-101. 5-101 short title. 5-101 short title. Got the savings clause. Savings to suitors clause right there, folks. And then it goes to 501 or 5-102. And that's our definitions I was in. I don't know what's going on here, but they're identical. And it says transition provisions. They're getting ready to do some kind of transition is what it looks like. And this is why I wanted to point this one out. So pay attention to UCC 5, folks. This is, like I said, this is where our power comes from. And I don't know if it has to do with the monetary reset or whatnot, but it talks about choice of law and forum, subrogation of issuer, security interest of issuer or nominated person, transfer by operation of law, transfer of letter of credit, remedies, warranties, fraud, forgery, issuer's rights and obligations. Again, remember, they're the ones that issued it. They do have certain rights, but they have priority obligations, this and that. Talks about consideration. Consideration not required to issue, amend, transfer, or cancel a letter of credit, advice, or confirmation. There's your consideration. It's not required. That's what they're telling you. Instruments signed for accommodation, that's another important one. Collection and enforcement by secured party. But most important of all, before I formed thee in the belly, I knew thee, and before thou camest came forth out of the womb, I sanctified thee, and I ordained thee a prophet unto the nations. Everything they certify has to do with a financial instrument, a financial institution, a financial intermediary, a financial broker, a commercial item, contract terms and conditions required to implement statutes or executive orders - commercial item. Let's see, do we have a definition for item in here? (4-104). Item means an instrument or promise or order to pay money handled by a bank for collection or payment. So the commercial item is an instrument or a promise or order to pay money handled by a bank for collection or payment. The term does not include a payment order governed by Article 4A or credit or debit card slip. Or credit or debit card slip. Letter of credit slip. letter of credit note. See how ambiguous everything is? So think about this stuff, people, and realize in regards to their certifications and all of that, it doesn't matter if they want to call it qualified or unqualified. It's merely just an opinion. That's all it is. It's an opinion of facts that happened in the past. It is not the now time. And the events that happened in the past can be clarified. Because again, theirs is a declarification of the facts, of the events, of the process. They got them all mumbled and jumbled around, just like in my case. They pulled me over for invalid plates, yet they charged me with possession of marijuana, 6th offense, with subsequent charges. In other words, they're trying to convince people that they caught me with marijuana, and then they pulled me over later on and got me for invalid plates and registration and all that as well. That's not the way it happened. And they can try to certify it all they want. That's why they don't put their signature on that certification. That's why I said that any of your traffic citations can be beat. I'm sorry. Upon realizing that the certification is false myself, I have to let you know. And it is false because neither the state has a record that can qualify the certificate of title, and therefore there is no certificate of title. And they can argue that with me all day long if they want. They're not going to get anywhere. And this is the importance of realizing what this stuff means. Realizing what they mean by certificate as opposed to authenticate. Because they can't authenticate anything. All they can do is certify somebody else's statement and say, well, I thought what he was telling me was the truth. Sorry. I guess he based his facts in some other form. Maybe he wrote it in foreign language. I don't know what kind of language you read it off of. Maybe you translated it wrong or something. But I no longer care. The facts are wrong. And I have proof. I never certified it. And it takes me to certify it. It absolutely takes me to certify it. Because again, like I said, I've already been sanctified and ordained. Therefore, I can't certify what isn't true. Exactly. Hearsay. Erica Weltz says hearsay. Let's look at Rule 803. Rule 803. Exceptions to the rule against hearsay. Statements in ancient documents. A statement in a document that was prepared before January 1st, 1998, and whose authenticity is established. Again, well established, never rebutted, it remains one of the most prolifically written documents on earth. And this is one of the verses. Before I formed thee in the belly, I knew thee. And before thou camest forth out of the womb, I sanctified thee, and I ordained thee a prophet unto the nations. This is one of our talents. Our talent is to go forth and sing. We are to go forth and prophet. But not through certificates. Not through par values. We're supposed to take in consideration the whole picture and not just our part in it. and be selfish and greedy. So think about this stuff, people. I hope I was able to help explain a few things here tonight. It's been one of my longer videos, but I think it needs to get out there. You guys really need to start paying attention. I'm going to start putting out some more videos, but I think I'm going to do some smaller videos on these definition type things. But you guys really need to start learning how to connect this stuff, because they don't have any power whatsoever. None. When it comes to fiat, they talk about their fiat currency. Look up the definition of fiat and tell me if it doesn't say command. And then comprehend what command means. C-O-M means with. Mand means order. Command, with order. So fiat is an order. It's with an order. And like I said, if it's not subsequent to what he says, then there's something wrong. There's no chain of title. Your accounting's off. Whether it be qualified or unqualified, it's misrepresented. Pure and simple. So think. That's all I can ask. Well, I can ask you to hit that PayPal link, because I'm going to post my other forum links when I get done here, and that's going to be one of them. I could certainly use it. I really could. But along with that, remember, as I keep professing here, share. Share this information, share the videos, share the forums, share all the different links everywhere, share the hashtags when you see them. Get this information out there. Share those talents, come back with some more talents. Go out with 5 words, teach people 5 words, come back and learn 5 more words. Whatever you got to do it. I don't care. But again, like I said, I do need the PayPal love. So please hit that PayPal button and share some love there. In the meantime, remember, if it wasn't for you guys, I wouldn't be doing this. So God bless. Have a great night. Great Friday night. Be safe tomorrow night. Good night.